Hey gun people! That damn cat. I just picked up my motorcycle from the shop. I don't know if you can see him climb. I don't know what it is about whatever gets in that damn truck. He's got to jump up there when I get back and smell it. Put his scent on it and see what's going on. I don't know if you can see him. Come and take it, baby! Alright, so let's look at this trigger. We're going to do a trigger job on this little, hell, I forgot what it is. 1040, 640, 357. I think the serial number's on the inside here. Maybe a 648? No, I don't know. Hell, I don't know. It's a little enclosed trigger, whatever the damn number. Everybody wants to be all, gotta know the numbers. I got so many damn guns, I don't know the numbers. Anyway, so this is an in-hurl hammer. I push these a lot because I think they're really great. And I tell people that you ought to probably get it. So, the biggest complaint about these guns is the trigger pull. It's too hard, Rick. I can't get my finger back. It hurts. I gotta pull too far. It takes too long. Whatever. In a crisis, this ain't gonna be nothing. But I digress. We're gonna make that problem go away. So the people complaining about the trigger, we're gonna make it lighter. So what I have here is a poor man's trigger tester to see what my poundage is. So I'm just going to hang this sucker on here, a little garage 4x4. I love these hooks. These little hooks, you hang them over a 4x4, I hang them on a thing, then you hang things on them. You get them on, I think Amazon for 20. If you buy like 20, they're $1.29 each. If you go to the stores, they're like $2.29 or whatever. But anyway, I use them for anything. So I'm just going to hook one of these on here, and I've got these 5-pound weights. So here's one. Obviously, it's got stronger than a 5-pull. There's two 5-pounders. Obviously, it ain't pulling the trigger. It's got more than a 10-pound trigger pull. A little extension here. Here's a 2.5. So this is a 12-pound trigger pull. It still hasn't pulled the trigger. And let's try two of these suckers. And see if it pulls. And it pulled the trigger. So, I have 15 pounds in order to get the trigger pull. So obviously these have weight. I mean, I just can't see spending 40, 50 bucks to go get a trigger pull thing to tell me how big my trigger is. But whatever. So we know that it took all 4 weights to pull this trigger. So after I do this trigger job, we'll see if it takes less. So I'm going to get this sucker apart, take the grips off, take these 3 grips off, and we'll go from there. And I guess I can let it run, and then I'll just cut out what I don't use. So let's first we'll get the grips off. And anytime you take your grips off your gun, you always want to check the end of that little screw there, because that sticks out and it rusts if it comes through. On some of your grips, it comes out the other side. And if it does, you'll start getting a little rust. So make sure and put some oil and clean that off real good. So let's take these grips off. Put that over there. And then that's going to give me access to my 3 screws. 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to take those off. When you take these screws off, a lot of times they're different. So because I'm only taking off 3, I'm going to lay them in a row, 1, 2, 3, so I know how to put them back in. But you don't want to get these mixed up because some are longer, some are shorter, some are flush, some aren't flush. So anytime you take screws off, have some system. Oh, I forgot to show what thing I'm putting on here. So this is a Apex J-frame spring kit. And I'm going to replace these springs with the factory springs, and that's going to loosen up the trigger. And I don't know how much this costs. You can look it up. Rick, you should know if you're doing... Shut up, you big dummies. I don't know. I'm not here to be freaking Amazon and Google. Alright. 1, 2, and... Alright. And when taking little screws off like this, I know Smith & Wesson gives you this little sucker, and you can buy all these nice little bitty ones and stuff, but I'm telling you, when you start trying to use this and get it balanced, it's much better to have a bigger handle to give you some grip and torque, and you can keep it plus straight, and it gives you a better taking a screw out. That's just my tip over the years on what I did. Alright, so now all 3 screws are out, and you don't ever want to pry this sucker open. Normally I just hit it with a little soft rubber mallet or something and it'll bounce off. Some people hit it here, some people hit it here. I'm going to go ahead and take this, because I took that screw off, this will just come right off, so I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to hit it right up here on the frame, and it should just bounce this out a little bit. Yeah, that's it. It'll bounce it out just like that. You can see it bouncing out a little bit there. See how it's coming out? Hey, I'm on a time clock here. Bounce out already. Good Lord, you guys are killing me. Didn't he just say don't pry? Yeah, I did say just don't pry. Because if you're a dummy and you screw it up and you pry, that means you're a dummy. But since it's my gun and I want to be a dummy, guess what? I just broke the sill a little bit. I had this off the other day, so there we go. So now it came off. So you have our little slide off. Now remember, I just did that video on the, notice that little subliminal. Hi, liberals. I just did that little video on the blocking hammer bar, and because this doesn't have a hammer that can get hit and racked, these don't have that. So there's no little internal, other than that little piece of grass from me carrying at my ankle. I don't tell how that got in there. But anyway, so the screws I'm going to be taking out, I'm taking out this spring. There's a spring in here, and there's a spring in this area right here. Put a light over here so people can see it, because they'll be complaining. I can't see. So this spring, there's a spring inside here, and there's a spring in the, what's the little thing that pokes a primer? Not the hammer. Hell, whatever. Anyway, there's a spring in there, and there may be a spring in here. I haven't even looked at the little springs they give me in the little kit. Let's see what we got here. Wonder if they got directions. J-frame revolver by, this should drop the weight, they said, by 3 pounds. So let's see if this drops by 3 pounds after I put this in. Man. Freaking Superman. Ain't no third bathroom using going to be opening that one. Alright. So it looks like those are the 3 springs I'm replacing. The ones I showed you. So this is your, what the hell is it? Firing pin. So the firing pin, they actually give you a new firing pin with this spring. So there's a little spring on that firing pin. And then these 2 springs replace this spring and this spring in here. So now we got to figure out how to get these suckers out. Usually that just comes with prying, pushing, twisting. The trick on getting this trigger out, because I've taken this trigger out and kind of polished it and smoothed it up. This little piece right here, you don't want to snap that off because it's part of the frame. So be careful when you're taking this piece out. And in order for the hammer, the internal hammer to come out, you've got to pull it back. Uh-oh. I took the cylinder out. So when the cylinder's out, when the cylinder's in, it depresses this, which is one of those internal safeties. So when this is depressed, you can pull the trigger. If you can't, it blocks it. So I'm going to have to, because I put my cylinder out, I'm going to press that in, then I'm going to pull the trigger. And then once I start pulling the trigger, you notice this area right here needs to come back here to clear, right before it clicks. So I'm going to pull it again. I'm going to hold it back, and then that's about where I want to take it out when it's right. Oh shit, I was too low. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. So I'm pulling it back, and when it gets about right there is where I want to take it out. But you're not going to be able to see that. So let me be afraid. Sorry, listen to Phil. Oh, I forgot. Before I do that, you need a little wire, and when you squeeze the trigger, let me put the cylinder back in so I don't have to keep depressing that. Okay, so now this cylinder, that little button right there, is pushing in on what I was showing you to push in to release the trigger. So the cylinder's closed. When I squeeze the trigger, you're going to notice this little piece of the bottom of the spring here sticks out. See that little piece right there? Well, there's a little bitty hole right there before it clicks that I've got to get a wire in so this spring is compressed so I can pull it out. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. So I got it in there, but it's not gone all the way through. Come on, baby. Damn hair on that hole. Alright, so you see how that kind of stuck in there? And it made this spring compress. Now I would rather it going all the way through. And I'm going to go ahead and compress it. But that's, when you put this back in, remember, this little shiny piece, which looks polished because I polished it up. I took it out and polished it up to relieve any drag, to lighten up my trigger. This little piece goes right back in this little area right there. So, before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and compress the spring and slide this all the way through. And now it's good and secure, and it's going to hold the spring. The problem is, I got to pull this out and take this spring off, put my other spring on. So, grab my two springs here, and we'll just change that sucker right now, the first one. So which spring do you think fits? I don't have any instructions. My guess is this one, because that's what I'm switching. So now I got to pull this off, which is going to let this fly off. I don't want this grommet to go flying, so I need to hang on to that, pull this out, decompress that spring, and then put the new spring on. And you might be able to see it a little bit there. And you notice I pointed it down because I didn't want this grommet going flying and losing it, because if I lose that, this video will be nothing but me cussing out crap when I can't find it. So, taking the old spring off. Now the old spring kind of looks more like the new spring. Taking old spring, don't want to get them confused. Put the new spring on. Woo, that was hard. For the liberals out there, the male goes in the female. Woo, woo. Warning, this video might excite some weirdo. Alright, so, now I gotta compress this down to put that little compression cup back on here. Oh, I dropped it, mother! Beep, 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 beep. And now once I get it compressed, I need to get this little... Ah! Damn! Woo! Pinch the little fingers. So now we're ready to go back in. So now my one spring is replaced. Pretty simple. Now I need to get, because that spring's off, I don't have it pushing it forward, it's going to be easier for me to move this back and then slide it out. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to slide this trigger out here. Gently, back and forth. It kind of takes a while. I've polished this up and put oil on it, and mine's coming off pretty easy. But again, I want to take it nice and slow. And remember, this piece right here has to be back here to come off. It puts it in a groove here, and it won't come off. So I have to be able to get this back when I'm prying it. So I'm just trying to pry it up and then get it back here. Okay, so I should have it in here. So pulling this out, what I discovered when I was doing this, I've taken this off before, I never discovered this. If you pull it all the way back and turn it upside down, it'll flop out. Now, mine will flop out because I don't know if you can tell, right around this little hole right here, I've kind of polished that. And I got some flits and I put this in the Dremel and I just kind of bored that out and made it nice and smooth so it goes in and out and it reduces my friction. Also cleaned it out, put some oil, put a, oh shit, son of a bitch, that piece wasn't supposed to come out. Ah! This has a little bitty spring that you don't want to lose. And I don't know if I want to put this back on here on camera or not, because this may take, damn, a few cuss words. Stupid spring. That's the problem when you're showing people on this, because get your butt in there. You're killing me. So this little spring has to go back in that little bitty hole right there. And then I got to slide it back in here, which could get technical. And I would turn it off and turn it on, but sometimes it helps to see this. And this is just part of the process working with guns and springs here that you kind of got to go through. I hope that music isn't coming through. Oh, mother! It just shut off. Freaking, I meant to say, put a box around things when you're working with springs. That sucker just shot on this cabinet. And if I find it, it'll be a damn miracle. Alexa, stop! Alright, I'll be back. Okay, I've sprayed. There goes Mr. T walking out there. Where you going on, man? Anyway, back to the gun. Alright, so I prayed to the spring god. My prayers were answered. And I found a spring. It landed in a little cup over here. But anyway, so here's what we're going to do. So the next thing I need to do, because I got that back in there like it's supposed to be, that little spring in there. So we're going to set that aside. That's changed. Now I'm going to change the firing pin and firing pin spring. I don't know if this thing is focusing or not on this. Come on, baby. There it is. So this is the new firing pin. I got to get the old one out. So let's see here. What did I do with that old spring? I thought I moved it. See, it messed up my program because I started looking at everything. Anyway, I digress. Let me get that damn firing pin out. So to get the firing pin out, on here, on the firing pin right here, you see that little pin? That little pin needs to come out, and then my firing pin will come out. So I'm going to grab a little pair of tweezers, and that looks like a little pair of tweezers. And I'm going to block this with my thumb. It shouldn't have any spring tension, but just in case, I'm going to block that. I'm going to reach here and grab this little pin. If it doesn't want to come out, I'm going to push that in. And it should slide right out. Wish it does. And I'll show you. Reach in there, grab it. Come on, baby. I'm getting my tweezers too high up. There we go. Here it comes. Woohoo! Pin came out. Now that little firing pin right there will just drop out. And old firing pin. Where's that little spring at? Hey! Got it. There should be a little spring in there. There it is. Come to daddy. Okay. Old firing pin and spring. I'm going to move that out of the way. And put my new firing pin. I'll put that right back in that little bag that I get my new one. And here's the old one and new one side by side. Come on, focus. Ooh. There we go. Old and new. Put the new one in. I'm going to put the old one back in this little bag here. And the springs I pulled out I'll put in this little bag. Then I'll write on it saying what I pulled it out of. Alright. New firing pin and spring goes right in on the top. Man, it's hard to do this in the light with fat fingers. But it goes right up in top there. And it slides in, then I'm going to put my pin back in. So let me push that back in. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's sitting in there now. Now I'm going to take this little pin that came out. I'll squirt it with a little oil just for GP. And that pin should go in. If it doesn't, I'm going to compress that. And then that pin pushes right back in. And so now I have the firing pin spring right there replaced. Last spring we're going to do is this spring right here. This is kind of tricky to get out. I need some, where's my little punch set? You get all these damn tools and you got them and then you can't find them when you need them. Here it is. Punch set. So I want one that's a little bit bigger. I don't want the spring to slide over it. So that one is too small. Obviously that one's too small. Okay, it won't go over that one. So that's the one I'm going to use because it won't go over. And to get this out, I need to compress this little blue spring right here. I don't know if you can see that blue spring right there. I've got to push that in, and then this piece will lean up, and I can get it out. Which is what I'm going to do here. Now, as you see, this is prying up. I don't want the spring to come flying out. Gosh, man, it's tough to get freaking lighting in here. So this little piece right here, see that spring about to pop out? I got to put my finger over that. So as I lift this up, it doesn't go flying. Ow! And that's a pretty tough little spring. Ow! And then that's what it looks like. See that spring right there? Try to get some more light over here. See that spring right there? So I'm going to pull that spring out. And the new spring goes in. Blue's coming out. Green's going in. For you guys who are colorblind, that was green and blue. And now I've got to take this punch and I've got to push this in so this can go back down. This part right here can slide back down. Oh! Man, good thing I had my hand in front of that so it didn't fly off. Now I got it down almost to where it's there. Man, I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got that almost down. So I got to push it in and then push this back down straight. Where's that little flat screwdriver that I was using? Alright, and it's back. You can tell when I pull the trigger, should have a little less tension on there. Alright, put this blue one spring back into the old firing pin bag, and then whenever I find that other spring that I moved out of the way so I wouldn't get it mixed up. I got more damn springs around here. Anyway, alright, so now we got to get the hammer back in, and that's going to go in about the same way as it came out. It's going to be this way, drop in, and it'll go forward and backwards. So I'm going to drop that in. And I've already had this apart and cleaned it, so there's really no point in me hammers back in. Now I'm going to put the hammers, this other little spring that I took out, remember that one? Again, I've already took a polisher of this and polished all this before I did the spring thing. So I'm going to slide this back in here. And remember, it's got to go, if you put it here, behind, anywhere else, it's got to go in that little slot right there. Come on. There. Right there, I got it in. See where it fits? Make sure that's right back in there. And now I'm going to pull this little pin out to release the tension, which didn't go well because I put it in backwards, so I'm going to have to do this again. There we go. Pulled it out. Now that spring expanded, putting tension here keeps it in that little hole. The rubber grommet right there keeps it right there. And this thing should be good to go. There's a little bit of difference. I don't know about a lot of difference. But let's put it back together. I probably don't need to put any oil in there because I've cleaned it kind of good, but a little squirt ain't gonna hurt it. Rick, that'll collect dust, and that you shouldn't, and whatever. I'd already cleaned this sucker up. I'm not getting anything off here that's bad or good. Alright, let's put the little plate back on. It only goes one way. It's got this little lip right here. See that little wingtail or whatever right here? So that's got to go kind of right in there first. And if you get that part in, the rest of it kind of drops in. So before I put the screws back on, I go ahead and function test it. Does fine. I just tighten this down by hand. You can tell it's really not completely flush yet, but when I put the screws in, it will tighten it down. When I put my screws back in, always when